Summer vacation. It still exists, but Mount Rushmore doesn't exactly top the destination list like it did when I was a kid. Even packing up the car or hitching up the trailer doesn't elicit the same joy it once had. No, distractions from the digital domain have kind of relegated the family road trip to an inconvenience. But those dopamine hits are about as short as the short-form content they derive from. They don't last. They're not memorable. Nothing like those great family vacations we dreamt about going to growing up. Places we wondered if we'd ever get there. Places like this. I'm Victor, and straight out of the Gen Experience, the Universal Studios Tour that never was, but always will be. When the studio tour was the main attraction, the only ride, we set off on a never-before-seen look behind the curtain that sparked the imagination of millions. Unlike Universal of today, it was considered a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and if we did get the chance, it was special. For anyone who climbed aboard a bright glamour tram or always wanted to, join me as your guide to ride the ultimate Universal Studios Tour, a tour that only exists in the Gen Experience. I first rode those striped glamour trams in 1976 and then again in '83. During the '76 visit, my mother walked towards the tram where the Phantom stood motionless in our path. Holding my hand even with my obvious trepidation, she made sure to walk me right by, on his side, where he suddenly sprung to life. Frightening? Sure. But a memory I will treasure? Absolutely. Giving birth to the working movie studio theme park concept, the Universal Studios Tour was a must-see attraction in Southern California. One of a kind, families often included it on their bucket list. If we weren't fascinated by the world of filmmaking, we would be. You'd live the ultimate film lover's fantasy and, as the eventual Florida park would coin, we'd ride the movies. Until I saw Gone with the Wind, I assumed this house was the old plantation from the movie Going Up in Flames. Alas, it's not Terra. A house endlessly ablaze but never burning down was just as fascinating, but nothing as frightening as a rock slide. Lasting only 4 years, the thrill often got too real when the boulders bounced right off the cliff and into the tram itself. Now I'd pay for that.
You are now our prisoners. Do not attempt to escape. Move forward immediately or we will blast you.
You gotta be kidding me. We're in the middle of a tour. Lori, just go around behind. We'll be able to go behind. Spaceship. So if we all stay seated and keep calm, maybe I can talk our way out of this. But keep your cameras handy, because we might need the pictures for evidence.
Foolish mortals, your fate is sealed.
As you and your fellow passengers are about to be hurtled into deep space, suddenly a brave colonial warrior fights his way into the ship. Amid bursts of powerful lasers, which are real, and surrounded by the flame, smoke, and confusion of the deadly battle, the tram manages to escape. More than $3 million worth of electronic and computerized equipment is used to create one of the most unique special effects demonstrations ever.
Get out of here! I'll be all right!
Riding the movies often meant TV as well, but to be fair, Battlestar Glalactica was shown theatrically. A technological and interactive wonder early in the tour, no one could have imagined this part of the attraction would live long after the source material was canceled. 13 years more.
I'm really sorry we have to go over that old bridge. I worry every time we cross.
And then wooden supports begin to give way. It drops once and then again. It is one of the most exciting effects on the backlot. It's a frightening experience, but completely safe, engineered to put you on the edge of your seat without falling into the lake.
32 years of repeated collapsing had taken its toll. The collapsing bridge, a highlight for many generations, was retired in 2006. You still drive by it on the tour as of my last visit in 2023. But the unique thrill we kept falling for is now extinct, sadly with nothing to replace it. We didn't know how any of this was done. How could we? There were few to no resources available at the time, and the secrets of movie making were just that, secrets. But the information from those talented tour guides was like gold. We hung on every word, hoping to hear about our favorite films and if they were filmed there. And sometimes filming was taking place right in front of your eyes. Driving by live sets was an unexpected surprise and a memorable one. Active film crews completing a setup locked in our wonder of a real working movie studio. Visiting was not just a vacation, but edutaining. This was epic Universal.
If you remember, in the first movie, this was the very same street that Michael J. Fox drove his DeLorean down to connect with the lightning bolt that would send it
Back to the Future. You may recognize this courthouse on the driver's side of the tram. That's where lightning struck back in 1955. Now, things may look a little bit different to you. That's because Hill Valley is dressed up for a sequel to Back to the Future Part 2. You may remember that in the middle of the courthouse square on the driver's side of the tram, there was a parking lot of the original Back to the Future. But in the year 2015, we built a pond to beautify the town. This Texaco station on my side, you'll notice that it is elevated, and that's to accommodate all the flying cars in the future. The ramp that's built right onto the driver's side of the tram, that's an aerial skyway, the freeway for flying cars.
Movie magic was endlessly delivered. From simple tricks as fake boulders being wielded by tour guides while in a tram jam, to a hot set of unbelievable special effects technology that blew our minds during a time when witnessing such seemingly impossible feats was unimaginable. Practical effects may seem a bit janky to a modern lens, but because they were physical, tactile, you bought it. Even when clunky, you knew it was there, you could touch it, and that always made for a more visceral reaction that can't be duplicated with CGI or screens.
We resume our tour on the Glamour tram just in time to get caught in a rainstorm. Hollywood style, of course. Look! It's a flash flood! But even the falling tree is a part of the animation act. Our flood is created when 10,000 gallons of water are released from huge tanks on the hill above. The water will be pumped back up to the tanks again in about 90 seconds and ready whenever the next flash flood may be called for.
The sets were real. You drove through familiar locations, locations that were built by skilled artisans and talented craftsmen that invited us to be aware and appreciative of more than simply what we saw on the screen.
Our tram passes through 6 Points, Texas, home of many Western movies.
Hey folks, I hope that you will engage with me on YouTube in the comment section or on my posts or even on Facebook and Instagram at The Gen Experience. Now on with the tour. This was a time where a simple effect, a moving object that tells us it's a submarine, that we believe the explosion was from a torpedo. We were not as cynical of a society as we've allowed ourselves to become, but we allowed ourselves to enjoy the thrill of this shared experience.
For the first time in 4,000 years, you can thrill again to the parting of the Red Sea without the aid of either Moses or Charlton Heston. This is a genuine electronic miracle.
Keep an eye out for those mines. You never know when one's gonna pop up.
This effect was seen in the big screen adaptation of the Get Smart movie, The Nude Bomb. Who remembers that pure 70s delight?
this section of the back lot, everything looks slightly foreign, and deliberately so. This is Little Europe.
And many famous monster movies have made appearances over here. Do you recognize this music? Anyone? It's from Dracula. Dracula was roaming through this courtyard, as did Frankenstein's monster, who made his appearance through that archway over there. The Mummy, the Invisible Man, the Phantom of the Opera, the Wolfman were all roaming through these streets back in the 1930s.
The legacy of the Universal Monsters has continued for 100 years, and traveling the same roads they did made Little Europe feel bigger than us. Epic Universe in Florida celebrates their legendary status in a whole new land dedicated to their fame, or infamy.
Soon after we pass through a European village, our tram is confronted with a runaway train hurtling right for us. 9 tons of cold steel. It's Universal's own version of Casey Jones. Each day, it charges every tram that dares to cross its path, but grinding to a halt just inches from it.
Left to rot, the train stands alone and forgotten in 2025. But imagine yourself as a train barrels down on your tram in another unexpected thrill delivered by the Universal Studios Tour, something I argue would still thrill us today.
You can see some of the lights that are still left in the area. This is what's called a hot set, which simply means that it's left so it's ready for filming. They just have to walk in after their Christmas vacation and start to film again. Maybe it's a little more serious than I thought, but the roof is falling down back there.
Ah, Amity Island. The name sounds so pleasant. Things will surely be a little more peaceful here in this quiet village on the coast of New England. But I'd feel guilty if I didn't tell you that this is the town of Amity, which was terrorized by that ferocious great white shark.
Our tram next passes through a quiet eastern seaboard town with the name of Amity. Suddenly, the quiet of Amity Lagoon is shattered by the terror of Jaws.
There he is. Hey, look out! It looks like we may be next.
Bruce's dental surgery certainly made him more fearsome. But even with that oversized and comical grin, he was a formidable part of the tour. Since 1976, he's startled the masses in a classic scene that resonates real primal fear. Such a famous part of the tour, he even startled Arnold and Dudley on an episode of Different Strokes. We didn't know how any of this worked. The Universal Studios Tour captured the adventure during an era where exposure to the world behind the camera was difficult to come across. Long before cable networks made documentaries and specials giving away all the secrets, the mysteries were left intact. But we were eager to understand how it was all made as much as we anticipated the thrills on the screen. We were unapologetically curious. Today we have answers at our fingertips, but sometimes the answers you get are highly questionable.
Nearby, looming ominously against the sky, is the dark and frightening house used in Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, a perfect set for the master of suspense to film in his own disturbing and very special way.
Universal loved to insert this house whenever they could. Calling for a dark and eerie mansion, the Psycho house cameoed in many TV shows, like Murder, She Wrote, where it kind of fits in, and even Knight Rider.
I bet you didn't realize it, but we've been climbing steadily. The elevation here is over 10,000 feet, by far the highest point on the lot. The only way we can get safely through the glacier on the other side of the mountain here is via the ice tunnel ahead.
We wind our way now toward the doomed glacier ice tunnel. The slightest sound will cause an avalanche.
The doomed glacier expedition was my wow factor, the grand finale to already an overloaded sensory experience. Each visit I anticipated the effect, until it was gone. My feeling may have never been like the first time, but when it was retired for a more modern and technologically infused section, you can imagine how furious I was.
Someone moves and the whole world comes apart. Down you go into the vortex of a seemingly endless alpine avalanche. Remember, it is all another fantastic illusion created by Universal's amazing special effects department.
As you'd expect, movies are made very differently in the 21st century. With so much digital technology, the need for practical sets and effects has decreased, not to mention the demand for death-defying stunt work by real people. And those of us from the Gen experience are not impressed. Upon disembarking, the tour might have concluded, but there were still so many wonders to behold. There were more sets and small experiences to participate in at the Entertainment Center, or what is now called the Upper Lot. Shows with Dracula, animal actors, cowboys in the Wild West stunt show, and even Conan. The special effects stages demonstrated in real time with live audience members the magic of TV and motion picture.
Got it, Damien? Watch Daddy's head.
A lot has changed, but the Universal Studios Tour still includes some classic magic you can't help but smile at. Now, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, click the like, give me a comment. What are your memories of the Universal Studios Tour? When did you go first, and what are you kind of sad has gone by the wayside? As it is still going today, I recommend you get to Southern California and experience this classic, the original, for the first time, or the first time since your Gen experience. Until next time.